what we've got is that people want to say they want to improve their teaching practice, and there's quite a lot about being a role model for the students, to get some clarity in their thought, get some integrated learning, and get some new ideas, and share best practice. Now, the way you're going to be working today is I'm not going to be lecturing you. And that's the one thing I am not going to do. You're going to do the work. I'm not. Because we are not doing a chalk and talk session, which is where I stand and you write down. You're going to learn by critically reflecting and inquiring and talking to each other. More of an inquiry-based learning. There's things about engaging disinterested students, developing effective practice, any methods, increase students' motivation, and those students who come just for fun and they're not interested in their studies. It's your job to make them interested. And you've got to find out what makes them tick. Young people these days are particularly difficult to engage if you're not in their wavelength. So part of what you've got to do is conceptually position yourself in the minds of young people. We left that, some of us, many, many years ago. And you're going to have to talk to them. You're going to have to work out what engages them, what they like, what they don't like, what clicks. And it won't be the same for every one of your students in the class. Just looking how to inculcate critical thinking, application of understanding, keep them engaged, and the use of multiple modes of teaching. There isn't, that's a good point, there isn't one single method that's right. There isn't one single answer. There are a range of methods that you need to employ for the particular subject and for the particular students that you're teaching. We might talk about role play, we might talk about inquiry-based learning, we might do surveys with students, those kinds of things. To just put it in context, Warwick University, they have their Centre of Excellence in Teaching and Learning, and they're very different in the UK because on day one that the students arrive at 18 years old, instead of putting them in a classroom, they make them go out and run around the campus doing a research, so they get them doing surveys. They get them asking other students. And everyone said, oh, students can't do research at 18. They can only do that when they're master students or PhD. At Warwick, what they're saying is, get them engaged from day one. Get them looking into things, doing research. So there's some good stuff coming out of that. How you can make the existing methods, how you can improve them, you can increase student engagement, and try and measure creativity. I don't know whether we can measure creativity. Let's look at some others. Just inspire. And there's an interesting one here. How do I collaborate with other teachers? Be an effective mentor. Student development. Ideal mix of a class. So, many, many things. I'll try and put those together when you're doing some things and try and make sense of those so we can come back to that at the end. The outcomes you want are developing skills, improving your teaching and learning, making it more effective, and very practical experience. What you're going to do today is around experiential learning. And you will have to find out what the most effective learning methods are. Each of us in this room will have our own learning method. I know that as an individual, that I can read, but the way that I understand is experiential learning. I have to learn through problem solving, I have to be able to make mistakes. Now that's just me, that's always been the way I am. So somebody just talking to me all the time, it goes from one ear and out the other, and I'm writing my shopping list, I'm doing all sorts of other things whilst I'm sitting there very politely. That isn't the way that I learn, it doesn't engage me. So, but for another person, they need to sit, they need to read, they need to reflect, those kind of things. So you need a range of methods that you're going to use. Just looking. So most of them, and there's a nice one here that says, I want to see more on creative things. And when you teach enterprise or entrepreneurialism, you often do learn quite creative thinking. You know, you do Edward de Bono's thinking theory and doing the hacks and things like that. So there's those kind of things if you're teaching enterprise or what have you. So we'll come back to that. So the first thing that I actually want you to do is I want you to work in pairs, the person next to you, and I want to start by just giving you no more than 5 minutes. I want you to recall in your own mind when you experienced innovative and creative teaching. I don't care if it's 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 20 years ago or last week. But I want to know, when you're talking to the other person, when you experienced innovative and creative teaching, what was the bit that took in your mind? So start with that, and I want you, sorry, did somebody, oh, right, what I want you to do is identify the experience, recall it, talk to the person with you, and I want to know why it was innovative and creative. Not, oh, it was innovative and creative. Reflect. Try and take it apart. What was it about that experience that made a lasting impression on you? Why was it? So those two things, you've got 5 minutes to talk to each other about those things, and then it doesn't really matter in the experience of your life.